Ghanatube so modofo snow we masai so atena se aja konwa fefefe na ebusiafo se nya matena se de no se nsem ahodo bi enkoso ewo oman na entempa so no ye bekwa kutie ne ahwe ensem bi a enkoso ewo oman Ghana.
The Staff House was the headquarters of the British military in the colonial days. It later became the seat of government in the days of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president. The current edifice was built by the Kufuor administration to mark Ghana's 50th anniversary, hence the name Jubilee House. But upon assumption of office, the Mills government in 2009 reverted the name to Flagstaff House. After 8 years, President Kufuor, who seemed not to be interested in the name Flagstaff House, changed the name to Jubilee House. On March 29, 2018, the edifice changed from Flagstaff House to Jubilee House. There are already indications that President-elect John Dramani Mahama will restore the original names of universities and the seat of government, which was renamed by President Kufuor. Head of Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, Professor Ali Duseidu, argues that both names hold its historical significance to the parties.
Names carry meanings and they have significance and they have power. So when you look at the significance of having a Jubilee House and then a Flagstaff House has to do with the historical context within which the names were framed and the power associated to the people who actually framed that particular name and the long history that it carried.
A section of the public have also expressed their views on it.
They should change it because it's their brand and we can identify their party in power.
For Professor Ali Duseidu, there are more important issues the new government should focus on.
I think there are more important issues that needs the attention of Ghanaians than just the change of the name from Jubilee House to Flagstaff House. And that will rather Ghanaians will judge the President John Dramani Mahama's second coming in terms of effort that he has put in place to reduce the sufferings, the hardships, the economic challenges that Ghanaians are going through than struggling to change a name.
Many are questioning why Ghana cannot emulate the United States White House, the United Kingdom's number 9 Downing Street, which have remained unchanged as names for their seat of government.
It is high time we got a very acceptable name to all Ghanaians and to the political ideologies that exist in this country and pass a law that makes it very difficult for people to change it. But until we are able to do that, I believe every 8 years or every 4 years when there's a change in government, this issue will come as part of the things that we have to do. I think basically it has to do with this whole concept of the two dominant parties with their ideological biases and how that shaped into hero worshipping and who did what and who didn't do what.
It remains to be seen whether the 2-decade-old debate on the name change of Ghana's seat of government will come to an end as President-elect begins his 4-year tenure. Enyonam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
Even though we cannot rule it out that it was because of the ballot boxes, even though we cannot rule it out that it could have been arson, but we don't want to quickly rush into conclusions. We still want to consider every possible cause of the fire. So when our team received the call, we quickly dispatched our team from Anya to proceed to the scene. Upon arriving, they realized the fire was well alight and was spreading, so they had to call for reinforcements. So we had to rely on our team from our national headquarters and from Circle to do well to put the situation under control. Our director of operations was there, our regional operations commander was there. That should show the level of prominence that we placed on the fire. Our utmost concern was that the fire had consumed the middle building, and there were other buildings flanking it. Our priority was to contain the fire from spreading to the unaffected buildings also. Unfortunately, where the fire started was the library, and the library is where they had kept the ballot boxes, and the ballot boxes are all very combustible materials, so any little spark, and looking at the weather that we are facing right now, the Hamatan, it makes the fires fully develop under such circumstances. So that's what accounted for it. But we did very well. The top floor, that's the computer lab, we were able to salvage the computers at the lab. Despite some damage to the roof and other parts of the building, we were able to salvage most of the computers from burning. The desk that the children sit on, we were able to salvage them. Mind you, they are writing exams, and then they were supposed to vacate on Thursday. So we had to do our best to make sure that we salvage the salvageable, but unfortunately the ballot boxes were bent, everything. And then also upon our assessments going around the place, realized that someone had also gone to burn ballot papers, not boxes. There was a deliberate act to burn ballot papers, because you could tell that someone had used a tie as an accelerant, and then we put the ballot papers on it and bent it beyond recognition. We were able to just see that they are printed ballot papers. So we are not ruling out arson, even though we are yet to conclude our investigations. For the investigations, I can't tell when we'll be done with the investigation. For a fire like this, the stakes are high, and we want to make sure that there's no questions asked when the investigations are concluded. So people have said things, we will take that into consideration during our investigation, but we didn't want to base solely on what people told us about what happened, because then for all you know, the person might be a culprit and will try to give us misleading informations that will throw us off our investigation.
Right. What's the level of collaboration with the police, considering the ballot boxes being present, and what you yourself said that behind the burning fire you could see someone who had used a tire as an accelerant to try and burn ballot papers?
So the police were there. The officer in charge of the team that was present at the scene yesterday had an interaction with our director of operations. He told us how it happened, what he saw, and so we have a very good relationship with the police. They are our brothers or sisters in uniform. So as and when we conduct our investigation and we are able to ascertain that truly it was an arson, we would hand over to the police for them to then take over from there and make sure that whoever is found responsible for starting a fire will face the full rigors of the law.
Yo, me na masese moja asopana mutie na afin so mota ehwe fa comment ebra comment section na menkinkan emfama fefefe aha eye Ghanatube so modofo snowy enede ensem ne ebrem on subscribe na afin so fa onsa emi notification bell no se ne be a se me de ensem ne ntuma na onya ne intempa so sisi ade makram.